Practically, what we are going to do here is to start building a bootleg, but because we will develop some sounds from scratch, like the melodies, we have the right to call it a remix or even a remake. Let's take things from the beginning. The first thing I normally do is to find the original track in decent sound quality. The best way to do that is to buy the track in WAV format on Beatport or any other shop. If you don't want to buy the track, you can get it from YouTube or anywhere else. At that point, I want to make a small notice. MP3 is a compression algorithm developed in the mid-90s. What it mainly does is that it shrinks the size of the file by cutting out frequencies. The human ear can detect frequencies from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. Till the conversion of 192 kilobits per second, the frequencies cut are undetectable by the human ear. But at 128 kilobits per second and below, the frequencies erased are detectable by the human ear. Losing frequencies mean losing sounds, and in general, losing quality. So keep in mind that when you rip something from YouTube, it must be at least 128 kilobits per second, otherwise you started off on the wrong foot. The next thing I normally do is to find the vocals in a cappella. Just search online and follow the results. Sometimes you will find the vocals on SoundCloud performed by a second voice, but that is not an issue. What's important is the vocals to be recorded in a studio and not taken out of the original mix using EQs, because if this is the case, you can always hear some music at the background. The next thing I typically do is to find the MIDI file of the song that I want to remix. Usually you will find 2 or 3 versions of the track that you want to remix in a MIDI format. Then you need to replace its channels with virtual instruments and sounds. Most popular songs are indeed available in MIDI format on the web. The MIDIs include the melodies and in most cases the whole track structure. If that happens, you are lucky and you can proceed. But what if the track that you want to remix is not popular and there are no MIDIs for it on the web? There are 4 more ways to get its melodies. The first way is to do it using your ears. As the years pass, you will become more and more efficient in doing that. You start with simple melodies, and at the end, you will be able to recreate any melody that you hear. The second way is to search for the song score or music sheets. The third way is to find a video showing someone who actually plays this song with an instrument and see which notes are pressed. The fourth and best solution is to get a program that transcribes the pitched sounds into real notes. There are some brilliant software that have been developed over the years that you can extract the melodies from waves or MP3s. Like this program here, if you enter a recorded sound, it extracts the exact notes for you, the melody. Now you can import this melody into your DAW. The next step is to absorb a few original sounds from the original track. Open the track with an editor and get a few sounds that you like. Some of them will be looped and some will just play once. For instance, I used this sound when making the Prodigy No Good remix. So now that we have our clean vocals, a few original sounds, the structure and the melodies, we can certainly call this a remix or a remake and start working on it. The first thing to do is of course to synchronize everything. I am going to adjust my vocals to my tempo and add a kick.
You're no good for me, I don't need no. You're no good for me, I don't need nobody. Don't need. You're no good for me, I don't need nobody. Don't need no one.
After countless hours of composing, I came out with this. Let's hear a part of it. Let's hear a bit of Michael, who you think is dead, but he's not. You can find all the remixes that I've made on www.youtube.com/undergroundremixes